now settle down because we're all set to take the proceedings further. I would request all our guests to take their seats. We're all ready now to begin with the proceedings. We have very insightful conversations and discussions. We wouldn't want to delay the agenda, so I would request all of you to kindly take your seats. I would also request all of you to put your phones on silent. Could I request all the distinguished guests, delegates to take their seats, please? Guests, we're all set, so I would really humbly request all of you to please take your seats because we wouldn't want to delay the proceedings. If you could all just settle down and take your seats. Could I request the guests at the back to please settle down? The final minute, and then we're all set to begin. We'll just request you to take your seats. Good afternoon, hello and welcome. It is my immense pleasure and honor to welcome all of you to TiEcon 2024. Let's give it up. We have 2 days of insightful conversation, discussions, networking. I'm your host for the next 2 days. I am Ridhima Bhatnagar. I can already sense a lot of excitement in the audience, and that's always good to see because it's really that time of the year when there is a lot of buzz, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of excitement in the air with Delhi-NCR hosting the 23rd edition of its annual flagship conclave. And what could be a better theme than to kickstart with this? The theme that we're going to take forward the proceedings with this year is the new Bharat. The Bharat that is confident, that is bold, that is far more inclusive. It brings to fore a far more equitable, sustainable, and globally influential future of India. Interestingly, what it also highlights is the country's determination to address its challenges going forward. As we said, there's lots to look forward over the next 2 days. We will bring you conversations that will be seeds for ideas for tomorrow that will be shaped in halls like these. You will also listen to the brightest voices as far as the entrepreneurship world of India is concerned. And you will also have a rare opportunity to network with the sharpest minds. So let's really get the party started. Let's get the proceedings started. Let's get straight to the first session of the day. And this is about influencers shaping Bharat's cultural narratives. This session is powered by Havas India Network. We would want to thank them for their support. I would now like to invite on stage Mr. Kalyan Kumar, co-founder and CEO, Klug Tech. I would also like to invite on stage Gaurav Mehta, CMO Noise. I would also like to invite on stage Sanchita Roy, Chief Strategy Officer, Havas Media. Could we have a distinguished guest on stage, please? Huge round of applause. A little more enthusiasm. Let's not hold back with our applause. The day has just started. Let's give it up one more time, loudly, for all our distinguished guests. Sanchita, over to you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session. I think the topic's already been given, but what I really want to talk about today is, in the last few years, we've seen the enormous rise in adoption of digital as a medium in the country. And, today the mobile phone is our first port of contact whenever we want to reach out to our consumers. So, and what it leads to is, higher connectivity with consumers, where people are sharing experiences, sharing their stories, and in the process, what is happening is brands are also getting to talk about and connect with consumers. So what we are having today is the topic that we are going to talk about is how social media influencers are helping to shape the cultural narrative, especially in tier 2, tier 3 markets. And therefore, what is it that marketers needs to do to, unlock growth for their set of brands? And I have with me, here on the panel, Gaurav Mehta, CMO Noise. Noise, as we know, that is one of the leading India's smart wearables and hearables, brand. And we want to understand from Gaurav, what is it that he's doing, when it comes to using influencers to unlock growth for his set of brands. And I also have with me Kalyan, who is the co-founder and CEO of Klug, which is the smartest, tech platform on influencer marketing that we have. So, welcome Gaurav, welcome Kalyan.
Thank you.
And I'll start with my first questions to you, Gaurav. Uh, yeah, so I want to hear from you as a marketer of a leading D2C brand that deals with smart wearables and hearables. How have you used influencer marketing to build your brand, and what kind of influencers works best for you, especially in a category like yours?
Thanks, Sanchita, and thanks for inviting me to have a discussion today. Smart wearables, smart watches, audio products. We launched something, a smart ring, very, very recently. Technology, any technology product doesn't is not understood by people from get-go. It's a high involvement product where people take upwards of 20 to 30 days before they can make their purchase. And that's where the role of education plays a very big part. And now you could do one thing that you were to say, okay, I'm going to invest like millions of dollars on ATL and explain to people what the product is all about so that I'm actually engaging again and again at reach with a lot of people. Or you could always take a look at an alternative medium like, say, social media, where the reach, especially in the tier 2, tier 3, is phenomenal. And also the format is such where it gives you the chance to actually explain about your product and the benefits that your product delivers to the audience. So which is where I think social media / influencers / organic content plays so beautifully for the category that we are in. And the kind of influencers that have done well for us, the answer comes from the fact that we are in the lifestyle technology space. We are as much about technology as much as we are about lifestyle, which means how does the person feel when he or she wears a smartwatch or a ring from Noise. And at that point of time also, the whole influencer's choice hinges on these two factors also. Is this person a person who can talk about technology from a deep domain expertise? Or is this a person who can actually make technology look good as well? I think those are two big factors from a domain expertise, and then the reach the person has, the authenticity the person has. But primarily, I think Noise as a brand has been built because of social media. Apart from the product and packaging and so on and so forth, I think social media and influencers have had a very big part for a bootstrap company to be the #1 smartwatch company in the country and a very big smart wearables company.
So you mentioned about authenticity, you mentioned about domain expertise, that's probably, reasons or things that you look out for, when you're particularly choosing a certain kind of influencers to kind of, work with. So coming to you, Kalyan, because, you're the co-founder for Klug. Tell me, what kind of metrics do you think that, brands should look at when they're planning to work with influencers across categories, and what kind of mix works best? Like we hear about micro influencers, we hear about macro influencers, nano influencers, and then you have superstars. So what is that right mix, or what are the metrics that a brand should look at?
Thanks, Sanchita. So, couple of things. We've looked at a lot of data. We've looked at a lot of strategy for influencer marketing. And what we are evangelizing now and we feel brands should be looking at is just like you do all the rest of your marketing, you define your audiences first, being cognizant of the fact that your influencer is your mouthpiece. It's the audiences that matter. It's the consumers that you're trying to target. And so far, we've seen that, and this is across brands, that we've seen that the audience mapping to a brand is a huge area of development to the extent of a potential 60 to 70% improvement on your existing spends that's possible using data. And that's a massive claim. And where we're seeing that are two larger areas where a lot of brands, and we are evangelizing this, that let's say you take a platform like Instagram on which there are influencers, about 57% of almost 6 million profiles analyzed, that's almost 4.6 million profiles have more than 60% inactive or spurious followers. 60%, I mean, think about that, which means on a good day, you look at any brand and you just pick any of the 100 influencers they've used, you know that half of them are not worth the money spent. And when you analyze them, you realize, my God. So that's one. So that's hygiene. And then there is business, which is to say, I want an influencer from Guwahati whose audiences are from there, who should be male or female and should like electronics. Imagine being able to define such KPIs and metrics to define audiences. And therefore, we step back to saying, look, your reach and your reach parameters are best served through paid media. I mean, an influencer's organic reach is literally a fraction of a cost per reach you would get on somewhere else. So those are the kind of considerations we're saying, look, first, find the influencers who have real audiences. Second, find influencers who have audiences who matter to your brand. If you are able to flip that, then you're able to see a 60 to 70% improvement. And there's one more thing while we get into this. We call this the great, at least I call this the great gender mismatch tragedy. Another interesting data point, if you look at any 100 female profiles on Instagram, only about 6% of those have at least 50% female followers, which means every beauty brand that has been working with influencers in the female category has been talking to dudes at least 70% of the time, which needn't be the case. So baselines before we get into KPIs, and KPIs we're saying sorry, there's a long answer to a short question about that, but influencers should be doing influencing. And influencing is about the points you just raised, Gaurav, which is, how credible I am, what's my capability, and what's my warmth, and what's my cool. So yeah, there's a lot to consider there before we get down to baseline KPIs. Thank you.
Interesting. Gaurav, I mean, the buzzwords in media today is, when brands keep talking about localization, regionalization. So, what do you see the role of regional influencers in the coming few years? What role? So, is it like one size fits all? So, you go with a national celebrity or someone who's working across markets, or you should actually go local and start choosing influencers at a local level for the better connect and with your end users finally?
Sanchita, I'm a middle of the road kind of a person. I always think that the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's never either or. For a scale business, you have to have those champions / influencers who cut across all stratas of our country, be it regional, gender, whatsoever. I mean, but then you have to have some champions who cut across and give you, because by investing in a celebrity / influencer who cuts across your cost per reach, your operating leverage just gets magnified that much more. But then comes the interesting part that after you've made relevance with 60, 70 other percent of the market, every incremental 5% of the market becomes that much more harder to reach. Not just in terms of time and effort, but in terms of cost also. And I think a lot of people in this room will understand that the largest cost on any company's P&L, especially startups and D2Cs, is marketing. So when you're going after the next 5% growth or next 5% penetration, you will see that you are spending much more than what the first 5% you were spending on. And which is where regional influencers or doing anything and everything regional becomes that much more important, because your cost per reach, your relevance with that 5% incremental audience becomes much more potent compared to what you've been doing with, say, one-size-fits-all approach. One-size-fits-all approach gives you a lot of heft initially, but after a point of time, when you're actually talking to the next 30, 40%, you have to go regional. And that's something, maybe not from Noise's perspective, but then I think this is something that we did very, very successfully at OLX back in the days. Not only from an influencer perspective, but from a content generation perspective. From just making sure that the product or what you're putting out is relevant to a person from different regions and so on and so forth. Because as a marketer, your biggest cost on your own P&L is media. Anything that optimizes media is something that you should always back wholeheartedly. And I think regional influencer or just looking at your go-to-market approach from a regional perspective is a must-have. It's not a good to have, it's a must-have.
So it's finding that right balance between, a national influencer versus regional, and depending on the product categories and the life stage of the brand that you are in. If it's your scale, then maybe you might go with national. If you're trying to, penetrate deep down in the market, maybe regional then starts making more sense. To you, Kalyan, my last question is, you've spoken about, how do you go about choosing the right set of influencers? So how do you ensure authenticity and transparency, when you're doing brand partnerships? How do you go about doing that? And can Klug help us getting any insights that might help us, making better choices, taking better decisions?
Yeah, and I think so first of all, I'm with you on that mix of things, Gaurav. And to answer you, I think I already dwelt on some of those points, which is to say, start with hygiene. Why pick influencers when you can pick with fake followers versus ones with real ones? And the second one is relevance, where, if I'm a beauty brand, I want my audiences to be female as well. Third is to find affinities, and that's possible using technology, especially like Klug. You say that I want an influencer from Guwahati, so going local, or Meerut, or Ernakulam, and I want the audiences to be, let's say gender, let's say female. I want the audiences to have an interest in parenting baby content, if that is your brand or category. All of this is now possible on demand across millions of influencers, not just in India, but globally. For example, imagine you're a K-beauty brand and you say that for a tactical, the big influencer, I want to find a K-beauty, a South Korean female influencer who has audiences in India. You've certainly freed up all human subjectivity of decision making to data led first, which is what I like to say, our old adage, in God I trust, everybody else must bring data. And the other marketing saying that 50% of my money goes to waste, but I don't know which 50%. All of that is now optimizable. So ask hard questions. Technologies have come to a part, technologies like us, not just us, I would like to say, of course, allow you to make decisions that are very surprising. And the last bit is, because it's been so manual, the world of influencer marketing, it is the top 3% of influencers who do almost all campaigns. Which means as a top influencer, forget the celebrities, I'm talking about Coca-Cola on Monday and L'Oreal on Wednesday and Panasonic on Friday. Exaggerated timelines. So what you see is these big fatigued influencers get a fifth or a tenth of the engagement that they get on their organic posts. So all of these considerations of baseline, what's the role of my influencer? If I'm a legacy brand and I have well-known thing, I need more reach and visibility than I want to sit on, rational discussions. Are you a cool or led brand? Are you driving cool or fashion, or are you driving depth of consideration, especially with high-value products like yours? So those are the methods we're saying ask, and data will provide some fantastic answers on scale for you and instantly as well. So that's how Klug does it.
So very clear mandates emerging, from my conversations with you both. One is like, yes, there is a need for, influencer marketing is important today, and especially, in categories where you really want to, newer categories where you really want to, establish yourself, and of course for established categories as well. And, something like which you both said that, look for influencers that knows their craft, right? And of course, followers, having that fan following helps, but them to know their craft is also important. And therefore, we should choose influencers who really understands probably the category or is showing passion for the brands which they are supposed to influence consumers with. So I think with that, we've also, done an research that we did in partnership with Klug, and where we also saw that, there are very clear mandates, especially in categories like travel tourism, or whether it's food, whether it's fashion. Influencers have started to really play a big role. And depending on, which market, what life stage your brand is, and the kind of category heat that you have in the market, your role of influencers will differ, and the kind of influencers that you probably have to go with would also change. So I think that was from us. Any questions anyone has for the panelists, we'll be free to take those.
Yes, sir. I, why don't I give you my mic?
Hi, I'm Ravi Agrawal. I have a very simple question. A few days ago, one influencer had told about having one platform for all influencers in India. So any brand can search the influencers' actual reach, actual organic audience versus the fake audience, and their pricing to have a shoot cost, and what the timeline they want to get associate with that as an exclusive level, so they cannot associate with their competitor brand also after 6 months. So do you have any take on that kind of platform possible in Indian scenario, because there are so many influencers across the platform, YouTube, Insta, and other platforms? Thank you.
You want to take that, Gaurav? Yeah. Actually, that's totally win. Short answer, yes. All of the above. You can define who you want, what exclusivity, to see if they worked with some other brand, the fake followers, breakdown, logic, geography. Fun fact, Brazil used to be the largest consumer and supplier of fake followers. We took that very personally, and now India is number one. So it's amazing. And therefore, we're saying everyone step back, ask exactly the question you just asked. Look for the justification of how that data is derived, so that you don't buy data and what we claim. What's the logic of that? Looking a little bit under the hood solves you out for the rest of the year. I hope I answered your question. Thanks.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Sanchita. Thank you for moderating that fantastic session. I would request our guests to stay on stage. Let's give it up for our first session. We couldn't have had a better start as far as the proceedings are concerned. A small token of appreciation for our guests, please. Could we have one of those volunteers, please? A token of appreciation from TiE to our panelists. I'll request our guests to stay on stage because now it's time for something very interesting, which is that we will have a report that in fact will be launched. We'll unveil the findings of that very interesting report. And this is echoes from social media influencers shaping the cultural narratives in Tier 2 and Tier 3 city. You will see the findings of this report in just a bit. At this point, I also want to invite other distinguished guests before we unveil this report. I would like to invite Mohit Joshi, CEO, Havas Media Network, and Uday Mohan, MD, Havas Media India, to also join us on stage. I would also like to invite Mahavir Pratap Sharma, Chair, TiE India Angels. I would also like to invite on stage Latika Pai, Board Member, TiE Delhi-NCR, Head PEVC Partnerships, Microsoft India. Could we have a distinguished guest on stage, please? Huge round of applause. I need a little more energy from the audience. We've just started. We have a long day ahead of us. Could we have Mr. Shubhu Sivanandan on stage as well? Could we request the guests to actually hold the reports, if that's possible, before we group up for the photo opportunity? Perfect. Thank you to all our guests.
I would just say that this report is available for everybody, so anyone can pick up copies.
This report is now available. You'll all have access as far as this report is concerned if you want to delve deeper as far as the findings of this report is concerned. Thank you. Perfect first session to kickstart proceedings of this day. Interesting report that has been unveiled as well. We would also like to thank our platinum partner, Maruti Suzuki Innovation, gold partner, Microsoft, and for everybody who's come together for us to be able to put this event together. And of course, you, the lovely audience that makes this event even more enjoyable for all of us. Now we have something very special, and this is something that we've all, in fact, been working towards and waiting for. It's a deep privilege of mine to bring you luminaries as far as the inaugural session of TiEcon 2024 is concerned. As we said, the theme of this year is the new Bharat. It's bold, it's confident, it's more inclusive. So this is India's moment to showcase the evolving landscape of our country, of our economy, and the admirable startup ecosystem that is made up with all of you. Today, we're at the cusp of something extremely spectacular. I want to take this moment now to invite on stage our distinguished guests for the inaugural session to please join me on stage. Their illustrious achievements have already been shared with you through the e-handbook. Let's give it up. Please welcome Dr. Jitendra Kumar, MD Birak, to please come up on stage. I would also request Sri Arvind Kumar, Director General, STPI, to join us on stage. I would also like to request Sri Siva Subramaniam Raman, Chairman, SIDBI, to join us on stage. And I would also request Dr. Saurabh Srivastava, Chairman Emeritus TiE Delhi-NCR, to join us to take this session and proceedings forward. Huge round of applause before we begin our next proceedings.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. And I would say that the inaugural session is really an interesting one because you have the three players, the three organizations that are pretty much responsible for where we are in the startup ecosystem. So you have BIRAC, you have STPI, and then you have SIDB. So let me talk first about BIRAC, and then and then introduce you also to STPI. So BIRAC is probably the best example that I can think of in India where government intervention done in the right way has helped create an entire startup ecosystem in a space in which nothing existed. So 10 years ago, there were virtually no startups in the biotech space. Today, there are 6,000. And all of it, the credit must be given to BIRAC. They engaged at different levels, whether it's incubators, loans, seed grants, equity investments, across the piece, fund of funds. So it's really the best example that I can think of government intervention. And it's kind of a role model, which I think other government departments in India should look at. And I should tell you, these are world-class startups. I've personally invested in some of them. And I can tell you they're doing things that you would never imagine. So what we will do today is start with Dr. Jitendra Kumar. He's the managing director of BIRAC. I've personally been very involved with what BIRAC has been doing on some of their committees. And I can tell you the quality of thinking and how far ahead they're seeing is very, very comforting. So, Dr. Jitendra Kumar, may I request you to come and deliver your address?
Honorable Session Chair Dr. Saurabh Srivastav ji, Chairman Emeritus TiE Delhi, NCR, Mr. Arvind Kumar, Director General STPI, and I think we also have Siv Subramaniam Raman, Director SIDB. I think he may join later. I'm so glad to be here today. Dear entrepreneurs, dear stakeholders of the entrepreneurial ecosystem of Bharat, ladies and gentlemen, today being the International Women's Day, first of all, I must congratulate all the ladies who are present here and who have contributed to this building of ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem across not only India, but across the globe. So congratulations to all the strong women, the passionate women, the entrepreneurial women of this country and who are present here. They are representing the Viksit Bharat. The entrepreneurship, I'll just say a few words about women entrepreneurship because today is a special day. Entrepreneurship comes very easily or comfortably to women because they have been from time immemorial managing the household, which is, I think, an entrepreneurial setup in its own means, by its own standards. Even during agricultural times, I think women have contributed a lot in the agricultural ecosystem where men used to do labor which required muscle, but a lot of other managing the whole household ecosystem where not only agricultural processing, After the agricultural produce was there, then the, the animals, cows, and the fisheries, etc., were managed by women. And still, in many parts of India, if you go, in the villages, I think women are managing this. So I must say a few words upon women entrepreneurship, and it has created a huge, huge impact on the Indian ecosystem. And as we are modernizing into the new ecosystem, the modern ecosystem of entrepreneurship, I'm so glad to see a lot of women here who are leading the entrepreneurial ecosystem. BIRAC has been in the forefront of leading the entrepreneurial ecosystem in this country in the area of life sciences. And it's very broad. It's not only biotechnology, as you can imagine from the word Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council. You may be thinking, oh my God, this is biotechnology, it's a little exotic, it's genetic engineering and all. But actually, biotechnology is a very broad word. In fact, it has its origin from brewing industry, yeast fermentation, curd making, etc. It's also biotechnology. It's a traditional biotechnology, you can say. And one of the greatest icons of India, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, actually started her entrepreneurial journey from garage for this brewing, in the brewing industry. And now you see how she has made this whole empire, Biocon. So, biotechnology is a very vast subject. It deals with agriculture, agricultural biotechnology, industrial biotechnology, food and nutrition, environmental biotechnology. Even in healthcare, for example, which is the main branch where biotechnology impinges on, we have medical devices and diagnostics which comes into biotechnology. And we are funding them. And the next is pharma, biopharma. So this is a very broad encompassing area. Now bio-IT, the use of computers in biology also has come up. So computational biology also falls under this scope. So it's a huge canvas. When we talk about entrepreneurship, I'm not only talking about entrepreneurship which is taken up at the very high end, researchers, scientists working in the labs and creating a new technology innovation, which is very important, which is extremely important. But also I'm talking about tier 2 cities, young men and women who has aspirations to start their own companies and solve some needs. They are not driven by the total addressable market. This is a unique thing in India. Their main intention is not to address total addressable market, but actually they are more moved and concerned about solving some problems, solving the problem of food, nutrition, solving the problems of access to the medical devices or access to healthcare, solving the problems of waste management. So this is a unique country where lot of problems or challenges are there, and therefore there is a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurship. Now, I will say something about what BIRAC is doing. As Dr. Saurabh Srivastava has already mentioned about few glimpses, but Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council is a very unique initiative of Government of India, but it runs on the corporate model. If you come to our new office in Okla, I invite all of you, someday you must visit. You will see that it has a corporate look, and it's not only look, the whole essence of the culture of BIRAC is, it emanates a professional and corporate, world. We have 70% women employees who are passionately working for creating a better livelihood, creating food and nutrition security for India, and spurring entrepreneurship in those areas. The schemes that are most prominent for any entrepreneur is one of this flagship event scheme is called Biotech Ignition Grant, where even the company formation is not required, it's not necessary. You can apply being an individual, and if you have any good idea, we will support it. And it's a very unique program, and we have funded more than 1,000 startups, they have become, many of them have become successful. They have raised successive funds. They have become venture ready. Some of them have launched their products and they are already in the market. This is followed by some other grants like say SIBRI and BIPP. BIPP is Biotechnology Industry Promotion Partnership Program, SIBRI. So these are follow-on fundings. And they may not be grants, but actually in a way it is grant because you don't have to return the money, but you have to co-invest. I mean, if you have reached the proof of concept level from your ignition grant, you can, the entrepreneur or innovator can come to us saying that we need follow-up funding for scale-up, so pilot scale, etc. That is another program. And then, as Dr. Saurabh Srivastava also mentioned, there is a equity funding also. At the end, if you are trying to commercialize your innovation, TRL 7, 8, etc., then you can apply for our ACE fund, which is equity-based. We do not directly invest, but we invest through our daughter funds. We have alternate investment fund partners, and we fund through that mechanism. And I'm telling you, it's a huge success. It's a huge boon because the early stage funding in the area is so limited. Many of you might appreciate that this funding is so crucial for reaching for the entrepreneurs to reach to the market. As you know, biotechnology is again a very capital intensive and risky venture, and not many startups are trying to enter there because it's highly risky, capital intensive, and it requires a lot of research area because still on the cusp of research. Here, to solve this problem, to lower the entry barrier for the startup, we have created BioNest centers. These are incubation centers, but we call them BioNests. And you'll be glad to know that we have now close to 100 BioNest centers across India. And it's not only in metro cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, but it's also in the far-flung areas in Northeast region, in Bihar, in Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and in Jammu Kashmir we have started. So that means what? That means the entrepreneurs who are working in tier 2, tier 3 cities, close to villages also are aspiring to become entrepreneurs because we see a lot of queue towards these incubation centers. This is, and then we have EUA program also where we fund some centers in colleges and universities where they can fund these fund these students who are aspiring to become a startup. So this is the whole gamut of things. Now, the basic problem, now let me delve into deep tech innovations in the country. Right now, whatever I said, in tier 2, tier 3 cities, etc., may not be deep tech, but still those are required for our country. But if our country has to take a leapfrog in the innovation towards Viksit Bharat, towards the paradigm shift, towards innovation-led society, the way we have seen US, South Korea, Japan, due to their innovation, some of the innovations, they have reached that pinnacle of success, economic glory. That still we are missing in our country. We do not have disruptive innovations in many areas. For this to happen, I think the research base, the research R&D base has to be very strong. So our department is paying a lot of attention to create the good quality research base for this country. However, the most important problem is not R&D. R&D, of course, it has been happening in our country and cutting edge R&D. We are not far behind. We are the vaccine country of the world, vaccine supplier of the world, pharma of the world. In many areas, we have excelled. But what I'm talking about is the new innovations, new technologies. So most of these, whatever I just now said, vaccine, pharmaceutical, etc., may be contract research or services based. But new innovation, new products developing from our country is still eluding us. So for that, R&D base has to be very strong. What we have also done, because most crucial link here is, even if you have R&D base, even if you have a lot of good facilities, a lot of good scientists, how do you actually convert them from the lab to the commercial market? How do you take them to the market? Because the industries, the established industries still do not have good R&D expenditure, to be honest, in our country. Most of the R&D happens from the public sector undertaking. So if these industry have to take up something that is developed in our R&D labs, public funded R&D labs, they have to have a lot of interest in that. And also there has to be a lot of liaising between the academic institution and the industry, which is currently lacking in our country. Because maybe industry thinks that these technologies are not relevant for the industry or the market, or maybe the academic people are not reaching out, or there's some disconnect. What we are thinking is, if this gap can be filled through some entrepreneurs in residence, that they can take these technologies, they will work with the inventor, and then they will spin out the company. So this becomes an institutional mechanism to create ventures. And this is a very crucial link. Other countries have solved this problem. US has solved this problem through Bayh-Dole's Act and many other structural reforms, that they have solved this problem to great extent. I'm not saying 100% has been solved. Still, you will see when you go to US, you'll still see that some of these problems exist. But however, in our country, it is still at a very nascent stage. So entrepreneurs in residence will take these technologies, work on these technologies, create a spin-out, and then it will be latched on to our biotech ignition grant. It will be latched on to our incubation centers that we have created. So this is in a nutshell what BIRAC has done so far. Going forward, we have biomanufacturing project that has come up now. So the paradigm shift from chemistry to bio. This is the next frontier, and I think our country can take lead if we can take lead in this area. So with these few words, I will close my talk here, and I look forward to interacting with you more through emails, etc. Please reach out to me. I know this is a cohort of startups and the related stakeholders here. Please write to me. Please write to BIRAC if you need any assistance from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And the next speaker we have is Dr. Kumar from Software Technology Parks of India. STPI is a very special organization. It was the brainchild of Mr. Vittal way back in the 90s, when the IT service industry, which is $250 billion today, was not even $1 billion. That one scheme created this industry. And so STPI has played a pivotal role in what has happened to the IT service industry. Even more, they've reinvented themselves. When the IT service industry arrived, all of this became routine. They became a hub which has encouraged startups in various avatars. So it's an organization, again, I've worked with very closely right from the start. It's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, Saurabh sir. Good afternoon. I think it's not very good time to give a long speech, and the time is not allowing. Let us have something, 2-3 points, which is important. It's great honor for me to be part of this very important event. Chairman Emirates TiE Delhi, Dr. Saurabh Srivastava ji, MD BIRAC, Dr. Jitendra Kumar ji, other distinguished innovator guests of the DICE, startups, founders, press and media. It's really great honor to be part of this very important event organized by TiE. TiE is very important partner for STPI. And you know, the kind of passion for this country I have seen in TiE members, it is actually unmatched, unparalleled. I must say, most of the places STPI we partner with them, with many of the events. and always their interest is to how to do something good for this country, for young entrepreneurs. Never there is anything like they look something more commercial. Sometimes many people come to you, it looks at the face of it, they are doing something for social welfare or something, but at the end of the day you find something commercial interest is involved there. But actually this is not true with TiE members. We are really very thankful they have made associate partner for this very event to us. Today, apart from International Women Day, there is even more important day for innovators. Today, government approved more than 10,000 crore budget outlay for India AI mission. And it is important not from the perspective of something has been done for AI. In fact, something has been done for whole startup community. Now, AI is not limited to that AI is some technology. AI is going to become the tool. And that tool is required to be used in each and every verticals, each and every domain of this country. Like maybe 30 years back, 25 years back, then enterprise software came. People are thinking this is a computer, this is software, this is different. It is made for computer science engineers. But today it is part and parcel of each and everybody. Internet, today you can't think a computer without internet. Internet has become such an important. Tomorrow same thing is going to happen with artificial intelligence. And therefore this budget outlay of 10,000 crore is very important for all the startups, irrespective of which domain they are working for. For every domain, to increase the productivity, to give the personalized touch to your consumers, you require AI. And today, our strength is software services. As Saurabh sir mentioned, today we have 250 billion market for software services. But AI has a little more deeper value chain. So top of the chain, we can say it is infrastructure, but we say clouds, GPU. I think we are nowhere in this. US and other countries has invested big time in this infrastructure domain. We have done nothing actually. Second is somebody required to generate models. Third in value generation is somebody has to leverage these models. And the fourth is some wrappers, some applications. And we are good in that. So we have to move up in this whole vertical chain, value chain. Today we are very good. We have more than 50% of this market of this world. When it comes to creating small applications, wrappers, services for those AI generative big models. But we have to move up. This 10,000 crore budget of this government of India will allow us with public-private partnership to move up in the chain of artificial intelligence. We can think after maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, we were having our own GPUs, indigenous GPUs, you don't know. Some of the company has already started working in which is called phase 2, like they are developing the models, LLM models. We are already leveraging these models like ChatGPT and so on. So therefore, this whole value chain of artificial intelligence, this is a technical part, has to be, we have to be up. This is one part. Second part is AI. I don't agree with anybody that AI is going to replace the human. AI is only a tool for the humans. Like computer was a tool, this is also a tool. And this is how we would like to use these tools. For which purpose we want to use this tool. And in AI, today, as this conference title also says, we are confident. Confident not just because I am saying we are confident, we have shown by examples. We have shown by examples, and digital public infrastructure is one of the best examples. We have shown to this world we can do it. We can create a solution which can scale, which can be made to population scale. And our approach in this whole solution, in contrast to Western countries, is bottom up. We have always thought what we are going to develop a technology which can be used in some women sitting in tier 3 cities of this country. This had been our approach when we were planning digital public infrastructure for this country. Today, the woman who is sitting in the tier 3 city, she is also making the payment in the same and similar manner the way we people are doing. This is the achievement of digital public infrastructure of this country. People are still amazed how we were able to develop, how we have developed technology such as UPI, which has changed the whole landscape of this country. We were afraid of using the credit card. You know, e-commerce came in this country long back. But people don't want to use the credit card. They don't want to make the payment in advance because the trust factor was very low, whether that very thing which you have ordered will come to your house or not. You are not able to put your credit card number on the internet website. Today, your confidence has increased to 1,000 times because of the two things. One is cash on delivery. When the saman will come, then only I will pay. And the second is this is UPI. You are quite confident if the wrong payment is made, it will revert back to you. And that has changed the whole landscape of this country. Sometimes back, one of the Nobel laureate economists who was speaking in some college in Greater Noida, India, he says, India has developed, Michael Spence, I think he said, India has developed the best digital economy and financial architecture in the world. So it is not that what I am saying from this dais is just I am saying, it has been said by an economist and people are realizing it. So we have changed this country. This country is changing with the help of all of you, all innovators. Government has creating a lot of good entrepreneurs, startups, conducive environment for all of us. And STPI is also playing a little bit in this whole ecosystem. We have created 25 Center for Entrepreneurship across the country. And those centers are helping, they are providing 360-degree support to all our young entrepreneurship of this country. And those 25 Center for Entrepreneurships are domain specific. This is our USP. We want that the people who want, the startups who want to work in health tech, they should be together. There must be a peer learning as well. And such center we have at Lucknow, which is called MedTech. Similarly, on blockchain, we have at Gurgaon. For FinTech, we have at Chennai. For AI, we have at Mohali. For automobiles, we have at Pune. We have created such 25 Center for Entrepreneurship, where we provide incubation space to the startups. We provide all lab facilities and mentorship. And Saurabh sir is mentor of one of the very important COE, which is at Lucknow. And we don't call it Center for Excellence because we don't want to work in basic research. We call it Center for Entrepreneurship, which means we don't believe in POC, we believe in commercialization. So this is Center for Entrepreneurship. No basic research, no applied research, only translation research. If you can create something which you can sell, please come to us. And this kind of the environment we have already created by creating 25 Center for Entrepreneurship. Apart from it, we have Also, scheme is called Next Generation Incubation Scheme, NGIS, where we provide seed fund of 25 lakh rupees to each startup. Third, we have also launched a program with the help of TiE itself. It's called Leap Ahead, in which co-investment model, we are providing support of around rupees 1 CR to the startup. You all are welcome to join STPI in any manner, to use our lab, to use incubation space, to get the fund, or you want mentorship, you want incubation program, you want acceleration program. We are doing everything for all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, thank you, TiE, for inviting me.
And now it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Subramaniam Raman, who's the chairman of SIDBI, to come and give his keynote address. And SIDBI, I should tell you, is the organization without which we would not have the startup ecosystem. So they were always known to be the one organization focused on SMEs, but way back in 1999, they created the first venture capital fund in India, partnering with the Ministry of IT. I remember those days. I served on their investment committee for a couple of funds. They have now, as you know, taken over the 10,000 crore government fund of funds for startups. They have a variety of schemes. They do different kinds of approaches, different kinds of funding models. And I would say they're the epicenter today for what is supposed to be the lifeblood for entrepreneurs, capital of all kinds.
A very good afternoon to you, and apologies for coming late. Thank you, Saurabh, for those kind words, and it's great to meet you after quite an interval. I think a lot of familiar faces in this room, so happy to be here and share my views. I think Saurabh probably knows the history of the Indian venture capital better than anybody does. And so I think, we really should be able to get more nuggets from him as we go into the conference today. So I think the really big sort of creation, or let me say the institutional mechanism that has come about in the last 7 to 8 years, ever since the government took this very bold step. I mean, it's nothing but a leap of faith that let this money go into the hands of so many entrepreneurs. And in this case, it's all of you who come forward as fund managers. And let these fund managers sort of produce that magic which many of them have probably done in foreign shores. So one of the things which we have seen over the last 7 to 8 years is the return of the prodigal son, if I may say. So many of you probably have just left fairly, sort of lucrative opportunities and have come back to India. And if I were to connect the start to today's date, that in 8 or 9 years, has something got created in India? The answer is, of course, an unmistakable yes. But as I have said before, what all of you put together have really created is that ecosystem. So the 10,000 crores, or let me say 9,500 of which is now committed. So the maths over there is a little up and down because some people have not, taken their commitments, and therefore, we still have a fair bit of money left with us. But that commitment of 9,500 crores has led to over 100 AIFs to raise 56,000 crores more. And I think that really is a staggering figure. The ability of all of you to go out and bring in that kind of money from your foreign LPs, convince the Indians to become LPs. I think that's really the labor of love, and I think we're definitely going to see the benefits of that if we have not already seen them. Happy Women's Day. So I think 18% or maybe now 20% of those fund managers are women or women-led. 40% of the fund managers are first-time fund managers. Of course, the first-time definition is a little different. You might have been a fund manager for 15 years abroad, but since you are for the first time in India, you're a first-time fund manager. So it might be a little, misleading over there. But nevertheless, what we have really seen is several people come forward with a fund of even 50 crores. And the next fund that they've come forward with is 500 crores. Now, that is really what we find in a space of 3 to 4 years between two different funds that are sort of curated by yourselves. We find that there is that much more money willing to come in. And therefore, the whole AIF space is getting that much more exciting. As private capital, I think we're really looking at a situation where could private capital get that stature of today what we see as public capital markets. So the public capital markets has its own rigor and set of regulations. Luckily, the private capital has come in with the vehicle of the AIF. It's registered with SEBI, and as a lot of you in this room will know, that continuously there are dialogues taking place with SEBI. I'm there in my capacity as what we are sometimes known as India's largest LP. So one is part of that set of deliberations. And I can only say that there is a mood in the room to make everything move towards ease of doing business. It's palpable, and I think it's going to be real. As an industry, private capital needs to look at itself as the sort of driver of a vehicle of funds. And therefore, the fiduciary responsibilities will probably increase. The cost of doing business may also increase. But I think the ability to garner and marshal that much more capital will also come about. So the moment the entire world knows that there are a set of regulations and there are structures and guidelines and reporting and disclosures which allow for that much more transparency, that much more information to be available, I think we'll see a lot more capital also come in. Another point regarding capital, from a sense of if there is an easy exit, then probably more capital can flow in. And that's something which we have seen probably with the Insolvency Act coming in. We shouldn't get, waylaid by the numbers which get touted in the papers regarding cases before the NCLT, because there are at least 70% of the cases before the NCLT which are in liquidation, which were all BIFR cases, and they were simply brought before the NCLT. So we should sort of discount those cases and then look at the statistics. The NCLT has provided an easier and a much more efficient exit route for promoters, for lenders. And I'm saying that the same logic needs to apply even with private capital. The lack of a secondary market is something which is being talked about. I think it's coming to the fore more often. We as LPs, when we ask our fund managers that why do you need to sell something at 30% discount, the answer is that, frankly, there is no liquidity. So this is something which has, sort of come to our attention. There is a bit of discussion that we're sort of initiating with the members of the IVCA and other stakeholders. And we really need to look at a larger solution that with 10,000 crores, with another 10,000 crores under the SRI fund, with now the really sort of big figure of 1 lakh crores, which is announced in the budget. We have another 50,000 crores, which is more towards the defense startups. So we're talking all in all, a fair amount of money that's coming in from the government of India. And I'm sure all that money will probably find its way through certain vehicles like what SIDBI has created. There would be many more such methods and avenues for that money to flow. And I'm sure the number of 1,000 AIFs which is there today might simply go up 4 times. So we're talking about that much more capital, and therefore we need to create those mechanisms whereby the private capital also finds an exit that's easier. Half the work has been done in a sense that all the units that you issue to us as LPs is already dematted. So there is a mechanism available where within that demat space, the possibility of a request for quote, the possibility of information being released, the possibility of disclosures being made, which is available to all those who might be interested in coming in as an LP. So it would be great for me as SIDBI if I knew that I could exit my position partly, fully, with there being a slightly transparent or a very transparent market in which others would simply take my place. And it's just a matter of demat units being transferred as property from one account to the other. So this is something that we really should look at, because I feel that with a much more mature secondary market, we'll be able to take forward this entire sort of impetus that has come from the government. So whether it's deep tech, science tech, clean tech, all these are areas of the future. In fact, there is also separately something that we have been discussing with some of the ministries, where we bring in additional money from SIDBI and create a few sectoral funds, specific funds for defense, for certain security agencies. Now, it is so good to be in a situation, in an environment where our own requirements of the government, be it in surveillance, be it in encryption, be it in defense armaments, if the Indian startups and the Indian industry is able to provide that. Now that is something which is happening. It's still, I think, green shoots, but given the amount of money that's willing to go behind these industries and these startups, I honestly see that also emerging in a big way. So the model of private capital, the model of AIFs, I think is proven. I'm not really counting the number of unicorns because that's a fluctuating number. But nevertheless, I mean, we all know that excellent companies have come about. We are practically using them in our daily lives. And therefore, there's a lot of innovation that's happening. There's one more area that I'd like to just, if I can take another 2 minutes, and it's really about incubation and very early stage or pre-seed stage. And that's something which I'm sure Saurabh would be able to speak a lot about. But what we are really trying to do is a lot of bodies, including SIDBI, including the DPIIT, with its fund meant for early stage funding, we are looking at more and more incubation centers. And these incubation centers typically or naturally, they lie with educational institutions. So this is another area which has a huge potential. We have tied up ourselves with 16 universities, IITs, you name them, all the top institutions we've tied up. And the only difference we've brought about is that we are saying our money is there for the incubation center, but we would like a share of the equity when the incubation center takes a stake in a particular company. Now, this movement from grant-based to equity-based, I think is a very big one. And of course, it did find, sort of many raised eyebrows in the beginning, but today as I'm saying, 16 institutions have happily tied up with us. And I think that culture of putting in equity into startups is a better discipline for them. They will understand what it is to get capital, and they probably will be, faster on the learning curve. So that's something which is going forward. We ourselves are talking to other sort of pockets within the government who have been, largely giving grants over the years. They're sitting here on the dais also. And I think we need to be able to bring about a more, purposeful, combined effort between all of us to be able to address certain more specific and sectoral needs. So thank you so much. It's great being here, and I really appreciate this opportunity, Saurabh. Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you, Mr. Raman. And thank you again for rushing out of this important government meeting you were in to make sure you were here in time for the session. That's the time and support that SIDBI has always had for the startup ecosystem. Please stay there, because right now we want to make a very special announcement. And may I invite on the stage Rajan Anandan, former president of TiE Delhi-NCR and now part of Governing Council, and Alok Mittal, president of TiE Delhi-NCR. So some of you, or maybe many of you would already have heard, and you've been getting messages from TiE Delhi about the phenomenal event that's about to play out within the coming fortnight, and that's the Startup Mahakumbh, the brainchild of Minister Piyush Goyal. TiE Delhi is supporting that, as are, of course, all TiE organizations. And what I'd like to do is invite Rajan Anandan, because two of TiE Delhi's board members, Rajan and Sanjeev, are associated with supporting and making it happen. And he'll say a few words, and we'll play a very short video telling you about the event.
Great, thank you, Saurabh. Hi, everyone. Welcome to TiEcon. Hopefully, you're going to have a great time over the next day and a half. So as Saurabh mentioned, Startup Mahakumbh is a first of its kind event. We don't think there's been anything like this anywhere in the world.